Welcome everyone to another live session. I'm thrilled to have Susan Kasser with us today. I'm going to hand it right over to her and she can introduce herself and tell you about her class. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for Better Balance. I am so glad to be a part of Big October and sharing with you some of the work that I've done over the years. I'm a professor of exercise science at the University of Vermont, and for the past 30 years been conducting both research and exercise programs to help people with MS prevent falling and increase their physical activity. So I'm glad to be able to share some of those ideas with you today. And I just want to make sure that I can't see you, so I really am going to give a lot of information and trust that you'll do what's safe for you. And one of the things that I'd like you to do is have a chair nearby that you can have to hold on to if you need to. Also rest in between or stop the number of repetitions we're doing if you get fatigued, and then just join in when you're ready or for the next exercise. And if you have questions, you can put them in the question and answer tab, I think that's on your screen, and EJ will read those to me. There's also going to be a question and answer period after this session with me. So if you have questions and you don't want to interrupt the class, then we can address those questions at the end. So to start, I just want to give you just a little bit about balance. Everybody thinks balance is this one entity, and it really isn't. It's made up of many different control systems. So you have strength as part of the balance system, your base of support and how sturdy and strong that is. Standing balance is different than dynamic balance. Making postural transitions or movements is part of it. So all of those things play a part in balance. And some of the exercises we're going to do today work on those different components. Again, we'll do some static or standing balance activities, and then I'll do some dynamic balance activities. Unfortunately, I won't be able to really give you some high level challenge in terms of balance exercises just for safety and equipment. So in my classes that I hold here at UVM, we use different surfaces and unstable surfaces. We use weighted balls to try to perturb our balance and regain it. So there's things that we do in class when there's hands-on spotting and observation for feedback that I can't do with you today, but at least give you some ideas to do at home that are safe and still beneficial for you. So here we go. So I have my chair here. I'm going to start off with just a little bit of a warm-up just to get our bodies going and ready for exercise. So we'll just start with a little bit of arm crossing in front. These are just warming up our body for what's to come. Again, if you're needing to open your base of support to give you a little bit more stability, that's great. You just do your arm crosses and then gently do some trunk twists. If you have back problems or any issues with osteoporosis, you shouldn't be twisting. You could just twist your arms. If you have no back problems, you can do a little bit of twisting and get the low back and those hips. Again, my stance is wide if I need it to be. All right, and then we're going to do lateral bends just to one side. And you see that I'm not holding these because I'm not really working on flexibility or stretching. I'm really just warming up my muscles. So it's not a hold or a stretch like you might be accustomed to. All right, and then let's just do our legs. Again, if you need to hold on while you're marching in place, that's great. Your legs don't have to come up high. They can't, but if so, you can bring them up a little higher. Just getting our bodies warmed up. All right, we're not going to be doing high intensity exercise, so we don't have to warm up too much. And the last one is heel kicks. So you're just going to bring those heels in back. Again, I'm holding on if I need to, and I have a nice wide base of support. And the last one is just up on my toes, and then lifting my toes. Going up on my toes and then lifting my toes. Let's do that one more time. Those calf muscles are really important for balance. So we want them warmed up. Just going to adjust my screen a little bit so you can see my feet. Okay, let's start with the standing balance. And what you're gonna have to do at home, I'm gonna give you some options, is to pick the one that you feel is a good challenge. We call it an optimal challenge. One that you can be successful at, but that also is a little challenging so you can get some skill development. So a normal stance is this way. The next stance would be feet together, narrow, and we're gonna find which one works for you. The next would be an open tandem, which means I'm either gonna open my feet from my heel to my toe, or I'm gonna open it a little bit, but I have a staggered stance. And the last level is a true tandem where my heel and my toe are together. So I want you to find one because we're gonna be doing some movements in there with that stance. So I'm gonna start with open tandem, but you might wanna start with a narrow stance or not. So I'm gonna get in that stance. If you find that what we're gonna do is too hard, go back to the stance before, okay? Narrow, normal, narrow, open tandem, closed tandem. So I'm gonna start with I'm gonna just start at the open tandem. And what I want us to do in this position is I want us to do arm jacks. So we're just moving our body and trying to get ourselves to be a little bit off balance in that stance. If that's too easy, go to your tandem and then do your arm jacks. Get it too hard, you can go this way. Now, if you get to a point where it's too easy, regardless of what stance you're in, what I want you to try to do is go back to the stance, and I want you to have your chair right there, and I want you to close your eyes. Okay, again, have your chair right there. But if I'm in my stance like this, my narrow stance, I'm gonna close my eyes, I'm gonna just have my chair right here and see if I can balance. You should be swaying, and that ankle strategy from the ankles would help me balance. If that's easy, you can stay with your eyes closed and do your arm jack. It's really hard when I can't see you, so I'm trying to give you lots of different ideas. You could go to your open tandem and try your eyes closed. And if that's easy, try the arm jack. And again, if it's still too easy, go to the full tandem, eyes closed. And if that's tricky, then don't do the arm movement. And let's take a break. All right, so now you know what stance is probably your most optimal challenge. That's what we're trying to find. And we're going to do one more set of exercises in that stance. So find the stance that was optimal for you. And we're going to do side reaches. And again, all I'm trying to do is get you to do some postural movements. You're anticipating postural control. You're preparing to do something with your body. And then if it throws you off balance, you're doing some reactive postural responses. That's part of the balance control system. So I'm going to get in my tandem and I'm going to reach to one side and then I'm going to reach to the other side. And then if I need to, I stabilize in the middle. Or I go to my open tandem, reaching and reaching. Or, whoops. Lights, cameras, action. I'm in a room that has sensor movements. I'm obviously not moving enough. So I'm going to get in that position again, and I'm going to do some reaches. I'm going to do 5 reaches to each side. So whatever position you find challenging, but optimally that you can do it for a little bit. 3, 4. If that's too challenging, I'm going to go back. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever your optimal challenge is, 10. Nice. All right, now we're going to move up and get off of 2 feet, which is our next progression. And this time what I want you to do is you're going to draw letters with 1 foot. So I'm here, I have my chair here, I'm going to be in a nice stable position. In order to unload this leg, I'm going to shift a little bit so my center of gravity, my balance is over this leg. And then what I want to do is I want to draw the letter O with one of my legs. And if one leg is better for you to balance on than the other, go ahead and pick the right side that is most optimal. And I'm just going to make a letter O. If I keep the letter close to me and small, that's the lesser of the challenge. If I make it a big O, that's going to be a little bit of a bigger challenge. So have your chair if you need it. You're going to try not to hold on, just use it for some sensory information, and then see if you can make the letter O. Okay, and then our next letter is P. I'm going to draw P and then the top. And again, bring it close and little if that's easier for you. It might be that you just are standing right there. Maybe you're just making it with your foot. If you need a bigger balance, just make a big letter. All right, we did P. Doesn't really matter what letters. D. Here, and then the big loop. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Down and around. If you want to change feet and try on the other side, that's fine. Our next letter is S. These next two letters make it a little bit more difficult. So up, I can do it just with my foot or my whole leg. S. If you need a touchdown in between, that's fine. So I'm going to do S. Okay, and the last one is the letter Z. Again, slow and low is the easiest level, and big and fast is the hardest. Z. And you're going to see that it's going to cause you to need to do some balancing on that one leg. Try to just touch lightly if you need to touch the chair. Let's try Z one more time. Good. Good for my balance too. All right. Let's do a little bit of a dynamic movement. This one you're going to need to have your chair next to you so that you can use it to move forward and back. I want that chair to be with you as if you had support the whole way through. So this is going to be a tandem walk, and I'm going to give you the different levels. I'm sure you all know tandem. You do it all the time when you go to see your neurologist. So everybody knows what a tandem walk is. And I'm going to just point this down. All right, the tandem walk would be heel to toe. If that's too hard for you, just do an open, a half tandem or an open tandem, and then I'll give you the levels. So decide which, if it's just walking with a very open tandem, that's fine. You're going to decide which tandem level is an optimal challenge for you. And what I'd like you to do, here's the different levels. One is to just do your regular tandem. If that is a little bit easy, then what you can do is you can do what I call a high tandem. So you lift your leg and then bring it back down in front of that toe. That means you're standing on one leg a little longer. High tandem. All right, now I have my chair here, so I'm only going to go as far as I can reach. My chair's here. I'm going to go high tandem, all the way, so I still have my chair for support. All right, and the top level is the swing tandem. Sounds like a new dance, but it really isn't. So I have my swing. I swing it out and bring it in. I swing it out and bring it in. Again, these are things that are moving us off our center of gravity so that we can challenge our balance a little bit. So I want you to do 2 or 3 tandem walks, just the distance that you still have some support. If you still need more challenge, go back to the tandem in the beginning and see if you can do a few tandems with your eyes closed. That's the highest challenge. So until you've gotten through the other levels, I would not attempt that. But we are going to go forward and backwards. So pick the tandem that works best for you, either regular tandem, open tandem, high tandem, or swing tandem. And you're going to go forward and then come backwards. I'm going to do high tandem. I'm going to just take 5 to 8 steps, depending on how long my arm is and how far I can move from my support. And then I'm going to go backwards. And backwards is, some people find in my classes that backwards is actually easier. I haven't figured out why, but they believe that the backwards is a lot easier. All right, if you've tried one tandem with high, see if you can do at least one standing. Maybe you don't move forward, but you just bring it there and get into a tandem position and swing it back and get in tandem. So you can do just single attempts for the next level if you want to try that. I hope everybody's still standing. I hate not seeing people. I don't hear people, I don't see people. So hopefully everybody's doing okay and I'm giving you enough options. All right, here's the last one for tandem. And this one's a little bit harder, so I would go back a level. You're gonna do your tandem, open tandem, closed tandem with head turns. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna turn my head to the left. My eyes are open. I'm gonna turn my head to the right. My eyes are open. And come back. Come back to reset. Turn to the right, take a few steps. Turn to the left, a few steps. All right. That's getting our vestibular inputs in there. Really working on sensory integration. We become very visually dependent as we get older and as vision becomes our dominant source of information. And we really want to try to utilize other sources of balance information, both from our vestibular mechanisms in our inner ear, as well as from our sensory information from our body. So we do lots of things with eyes open, eyes closed, head turns, just to try to get at that sensory integration. Okay, let's see what time it is. We are doing well. Let's take a deep breath, just give everybody a breath. I think what I'll do right now is just do a core exercise to get us to sit down for a minute and take a rest, but make our rest still useful. All right, so if you have your chair, you're gonna sit in your chair and you're gonna sit a little bit forward in your chair so that you're not supported on the back of the chair. Okay, you need to hold on, you can. Your core is very important for balance. The more stability you have in your core or proximally, the more control you have distally. So core is really good for balance. So what I want us to do is engage our core. So what you'll do is bring your belly button into your spine. So you bring in, really tighten that core. Try not to hold your breath, which is very common. And then what I want you to do is lean back and make a big circle with your trunk. Okay, keeping that core engaged. I'm going to do 3 this way. Again, if you need to hold on. Really try to use that trunk. All right. And we're going to go the other way. Bring that core in. Really tighten it. Try not to hold your breath. If you find that you're holding your breath, count, and that helps you not hold your breath. So we're going to go the other direction. You should feel it mostly in the back, and then it kind of relaxes. Again. And then one last time. All right. Let's take a little stretch in here because sometimes when we do those core exercises, we really can feel it. So we're going to do the cat-cow exercise in our chair. So what I do is I bend, bring my chin down. It's called the angry cow. This is the cat, sorry. Arched up. And then I arch up like this. This is the cow. Looks better when you're on your hands and knees on the floor. Just give it a nice stretch in there. Let's do one more. Crunch up, really stretch that lumbar, thoracic part of our back. And then now we arch back like this. All right, let's do one more core and then we'll get back up and do some more balance exercises. This core is, again, another one to really work on stability. What I want to do is have you get in the front of your chair. You're going to lean back just as far as you can that feels like you can hold it. And so when you get there, what you're going to do is you're either going to flutter, march with your legs like this. And if that's tough, because those muscles are small, those hip flexors, you can do an arm flutter. And we're going to do that for just a few seconds. So the first thing I do is bring my core, engage my core, bring my belly button to the spine and lean back slightly and then do some flutter action. It doesn't matter if you do arms and legs, just arms or just legs. And you're just going to try to do this and hold that core and relax. You should be feeling it in your core. And hopefully you're not going to be cursing my name later, but my group that comes to me every week, they always know that everything's about the core. And they hear my name, they hear me on their shoulders every day saying core. We're gonna do that one more time. So first thing I do is engage my core. I lean back slightly and then do some flutter kicking or flutter arms. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, I'm not quite sure what your activity and exercise level is, so it's hard to know how long to hold those core positions, but that's a good exercise to do at home. Okay, everybody think, well, I thought this was balance, and balance has to be on your feet. Well, core is part of a good balance routine. So now we have a little bit more time. We're going to do 2 exercises, one exercise that works on postural transitions. And that's moving our body in different places. I do a lot of whole body movements. And so this one, what I'm going to do, and I'll have you watch me first, I'm going to do a side lunge. And as I do that, I'm going to reach down to my toe. I don't have to change it. And then I'm going to come up and reach diagonal. And you'll see I come to a narrow base. So coming onto a narrow base is a good task to practice. Now, how do you modify this if you need? Don't step out as far. Don't reach down as far. And when you come back, don't come back into that narrow stance. Come back into a more open stance, okay? The slower you do the movement, the less it will move you off balance. We're gonna do 5 on one side and 5 on the other. Again, you can always engage that core. That will give you some stability, okay? So let's start to the right. Your right, my left. All right, we're gonna go to the side and reach down and then come back together. And if this is hard, this movement right here, that's okay to balance. If you're not safe, have your chair right there to do that. And up. And 3. Depth is how you modify. And come back together. If this is not challenging, you can come back on one foot. That's a little bit more challenging. Come back and stand on one foot. All right, let's go to the other side. Same thing. I step out, reach down, come back to narrow stance. Step out, come back to narrow stance. Step out, I don't have to step far if I don't want to. Come back to narrow stance. Step out, you come back to one foot stance. Step out, and 5. Awesome. Okay, let's check my time. Let's do another dynamic movement. And this one is stepping again, stepping where your base is narrowed. When we walk, a lot of times we end up coming to midnight and narrowing our base. We want to try to keep that base open. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to go 3 steps and you're going to step diagonally onto, step diagonally to the right and then come to that same position with my other foot. I'm going to step diagonally to the left, come back, and then this. And again, chair there if needed. Step onto a very closed base. Step, closed base. Step, closed base. I want you to do that forward and backward. Backward's a little harder, so go a little slower and have your chair there. So I'm here, I step back and diagonal to 1. I step back and diagonal to 2. I step back and diagonal 3. If that's easy, you can add stepping onto one foot, stepping onto one foot, stepping onto one foot, stepping back, stepping back, stepping back, or you can step and then close your eyes. Again, that's the hardest, so you want to be really safe and have your chair. Step diagonal and close your eyes. That's working on that vestibular and that sensory information. Let's do it one more time. I'm going to step diagonal, left and right, back. Backwards always a little scary because we always are afraid of falling backwards. So we adopt a forward position, and it really is a little bit scary to even just come up into a full back position. All right, we have one more, I think, for the dynamic. Turning is always a risk activity for many people. So I always like to work on turning. Since we can't really do a lot of movement and turning at home safely, I'm going to ask you to do a pivot turn. So what I do is I go a step forward and then I do a pivot turn and I end up like this. Let me show it to you again. Again, you don't have to step very far. I step, I get on my toes and I pivot towards my back foot in that direction. Okay, and then I can do it right from this point. Get on my toes and pivot and come down. Now, you might want to keep a wider base of support this way instead of a tandem. And so I can do it with a wide base. I step, I go up on my toes and I turn and come back down. Step and come back down. Or I can step and turn and step. Okay, so I want you to practice a turn, but I want you to do it safely. You do a pivot turn. Again, that involves our eyes moving, and so we have to depend on some other information. Or I can do a step and then turn. Let's try 3 of those. Step, pivot, and turn. Step, pivot, and turn. Or step and turn. Okay. The turning is a big one. In my class, we do a lot where I have people throw weighted balls, and then they have to turn and catch the weighted ball off the wall. So they have to turn and switch their attention to the ball. And switching attention and multitasking is a really important part of balance. And we didn't do that, but at home, let's say you were practicing your tandem, you could count backwards or name things that begin with the letter F, anything that gets you doing 2 tasks at the same time. All right, I think we have time for one more. We could go all day if you really wanted to. I think that would be fun, but I'm sure we all have things to do. Let's try one more balance exercise. You're going to go do a front raise with the arm and a back raise with the leg. So it looks like this. And I can stay on this same side. And you can stop in between. Harder would be to do this and then not actually put that foot down. You can do 2 in a row. If you want a different level, you can do some on one side, some on the other, or you can switch. And if you slow it down, you end up having to work really hard on that balance. We tend to do things fast because it takes less control to do it fast. Last one. And good. Okay, well, those were just some examples of things that you could do safely at home. There's lots of things and variations that are available to do this with. I think what would be great right now, I want to thank you for coming. I know it was quick, and again, it might not have been as individualized as you would have liked, but you can look back at this video and try some of the other options at home. The other items that you might want to look back, I did a functional fitness 1 and a functional fitness 2 class prior in the month, and those are in the wellness video library, I think, that you'll have access to, so you might want to check those out as well. But what we will do is we'll end this call, and then you'll have to go back to the lobby and come back into the question and answer session on better balance, and I'll be happy to answer questions or offer some other ideas if that would be helpful. So you're going to end this session and then join the next session. I think, EJ, is that right?
That's true. Yes, thank you so much. That was great. And everybody, we'll see you the other side in about 2 minutes. On the home page, just click on join session for the post Better Balance question and answer session. Thanks.
Love to see you. Thanks.
Bye. So I could go into our